And I'm delighted that my friend Stacey Dash is with us. Her new book, she's in the studio, which is even better. There Goes My Social Life, From Clueless to Conservative. Stacey Dash joins us now. She's on one of the advisory groups for Women for Trump as well. She's a Fox News contributor, a native New Yorker, as we hear, also L.A. And Stacey, it's great to see you. How are you?
Nice to see you. Thank you for having me. I've been dying to come on your show.
Oh, well, great.
This is awesome.
Congrats on the book. And there's so much in this book. I was just reading during the commercial break that I want to get into about your life and how it's changed over the years and your experience in the entertainment world and your faith and being an African-American woman in this crazy political climate. But what's your sense about where the country is right now? We'll get into the entertainment aspect of it, but where America is. Forget about the polls. Forget about all that. Just where we stand as a country. What are you feeling?
Realistically, I mean, I feel sad. I'm sad about it. I really am. It's unfortunate, but I feel like we are more divided now than we ever have been in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. I think since the Civil Rights Movement. I mean, it seems like everything's become so PC. Everything is about race. Mm-hmm. No one thinks about anybody's issues or what anybody thinks. It's all about everybody's feelings, hurting people's feelings, people being offended by nonsense, words. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. That's what we talk about. That's what goes on in the media instead of what's important. And the lawlessness that's going on, and that's being advocated. Excused and advocated, and we're blaming the very men that protect us every single day. They put their lives on the line for us, and we are not giving them the respect they're due.
And Stacey, you're on this advisory board for Donald Trump.
Yes.
You know Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And you heard Paul Ryan, all these people say his comments about that judge were, textbook racism. Would you be an advisory board for someone who is a racist?
No, I would not. He's not a racist.
I wouldn't support him for like 5 milliseconds if I thought. I've known him, pretty well for like 12 years.
But they throw that word around like it's like it's nothing. It's now become a word like okay, racist. It's the answer to everything. Racist. If you can't think of anything intelligent, you just say racist.
What do you think the reaction will be among voters who are kind of in the middle, maybe, or independents, to Elizabeth Warren going on this tirade yesterday, where they say they're not going to run a campaign of personal insults, but it was all personal insults.
All of it.
Petty, small, ignorant, racist. Very little in the way of a substantive refutation of what Trump is saying. But how do you think, for instance, when she says he's a racist yesterday in the speech, how does the independent voter and even some African-American voters, does that immediately move them?
I think that if they really thought about it, they would realize that the real racists are the Democrats. They've been in power for this past 8 years, and look what's going on. Like I said, everything is now about race. And let's talk about Hollywood, okay? Something I'm very familiar with. That is the most racist place that I know, and they dictate the culture of the country.
Explain that.
So, dictating the culture of the country?
No, the
racism?
Yeah.
Well, because there's no diversity. There is no diversity in Hollywood, which is what I spoke about. There's black Hollywood, and then there's Hollywood. Why can't there just be Hollywood? Why do we either we want to be segregated or we want to be integrated? We have to make a choice, and the choice should be integrated. Don't start these black films and this, Black History Month and the black television channel and shows like Blackish where they sit around a dinner table and talk about being black. Who does that? No one does that. It's crazy.
Do you know Tyler Perry? You ever met him?
I've met him once.
What do you think of his stuff?
I think he's a very nice guy, and what I think the difference is with him is that he
cracks me up.
He cracks me up too.
Oh my God, Medea goes to jail.
And that's what
Christmas.
I was gonna say. He created a character that everyone can.
I'm a Medea fan, as is Raymond, by the way. But go
ahead. Well, Medea's a crazy grandma, right? Everybody has that
Like
crazy
Flip
grandma,
Wilson.
you know, and you don't have to be black to have that crazy grandma.
Yeah.
And that's where his genius came in.
Mm-hmm.
He created a character that everyone can relate to. Doesn't matter what your race is. And now he's doing films that are not about race.
But didn't Oprah transcend race in many ways? Didn't she?
I thought she did, and then suddenly everything became racist with her. You know, everything was about, you know, race. She, you know, people are racist. The white man this, the white man. I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't you become Oprah because white people like you?
Yeah. How are we a country? And also, how are we a country that is so racist when we elected and then reelected an African American man?
Thank you.
And where some of the most talented, richest, most successful people in the United States happen to be black.
Thank you.
I don't understand. I don't even understand that.
I don't get it.
I mean, I'm not saying that are not racist people and that there are just people who.
Of course there are.
There are bad people in
just
every
like
lot.
There are crazy people.
Right. I mean, so
It's the
you know,
same thing.
we understand that, but I think you're right. I think every time the Democrats throw the R word around, and then it's really disappointing when the Republicans do it, though, because then they're just helping the other side.
That's right.
But every time they do that, it dilutes the meaning of the word racism.
It does.
And I think, I don't know, I have a lot of guys who are from Africa who, you know, just arrived in the country, and they're legally here, but they're working to start out in school, and they're driving cars, or there's Uber car, maybe some of my drivers for Fox. Great guys. It's so funny when they hear the racism thing. They don't even it doesn't. It's like, your country let me come here. Racist. They don't buy it. It's very in the Caribbean blacks. They don't buy it. It's very interesting
because they appreciate education.
Amazing. I see a real difference.
Yeah, there is a difference because they appreciate education. They appreciate opportunity because in their countries they don't get that. Only in America does that exist. Yet we're not taking advantage of it. You know, and if you talk in a way that's in any way educated, if you have an educated speech, then you're speaking like the white man. Somehow white people have a monopoly on education, and I don't know how that happened because that was beat a long time ago. Men and women lost their lives fighting for that right, and we're just poo-pooing it like it's nothing. We should be appreciating it and taking advantage of it and stop complaining about what we don't have and making excuses for ourselves for what we don't have. To me, it's an excuse.
Oh, it's just a crutch, and it is always it is hard to kind of look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, you stumbled here. It's time to fix it. And
right.
I've gone through this in my own life many times, every day. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, why did I do that? Or my kids, I'm not doing this right. Or and so you can't beat yourself up, but you also have to have a moment where you say, you know, I really I took a wrong turn.
And that's what I talk about in my book.
Yes, you do talk about it. When we get back, I want to talk about how you've managed to keep your foothold in the entertainment industry, being such an outsider in many ways. I mean, you're an anomaly, and how do you keep your good spirit, your optimism, and your drive in I think what is hostile territory for in many ways for conservatives. Stacey Dash stays with us. Her book is our featured selection on both our Facebook page, which is so wildly popular, thank you, and the Laura Ingraham Show website. So you can buy it at Barnes & Noble, Amazon. I get a lot of books on Amazon, but I love supporting bookstores. Barnes & Noble is a struggle out there. So support Barnes & Noble, the independents, which I really love, as you know. So books are great things to take with you on summer vacations, and we want to support people who are making a difference in wherever they work or live, and Stacey Dash is one of those people. Great friend. There goes my social life. Stacey Dash is with us. We're going to stay with her. Your questions for Stacey, Hollywood, politics, all of it when we come back. 855-40-LAURA.
The Laura Ingraham Show.
Be confident in your heritage. Be confident in your blackness. One of the great changes that's occurred in our country since I was your age is the realization there's no one way to be black. I take it from somebody who's seen both sides of the debate about whether I'm black or not.
You're listening to the Laura Ingraham Show, 855-40-LAURA. Well, Obama campaigned as a figure who would bring the country together. We would lose much of the division, and we would rally together because things would get better. The economy would get better. We wouldn't have this crazy foreign policy. And, well, what happened? When things started going sour, they went back to the very identity politics that helped them in part get elected. And we continue with Stacey Dash. There Goes My Social Life. Her new book featured on Facebook, our Facebook page, and Laura Ingraham show website. From clueless to conservative. Of course, everyone remembers Stacey in the iconic film Clueless, which is one of my favorites. But Stacey, you can chime in on the president and where he's headed now in these last months of the presidency. He seems like he wants to check off a few more bucket items for himself, and he's going to be out there for Hillary. But, as you said, the division in the Black Lives Matter movement on the streets of San Jose, it's palpable. You feel it.
You feel it. And what's really upsetting is that I voted for him, and it was stupid, but I got blacked into it, which I think a lot of us did.
Blacked into it?
Yes, I did. I didn't know anything about him. But I knew he was black and he was running for president. And I thought, wow, how fantastic will it be to have a black president? Racial issues will be gone. There will be no more racial issues. He will unite us in a very profound way. He did the exact opposite, which is infuriating. How could he do such a thing? I'll tell you. He's solipsistic, narcissistic, and I really believe he does not like our country. I don't believe he likes our country. I don't think he does. And I think he's achieving that goal by dividing us, because we can't stand divided like we are right now. So we've got to come together.
Well, certainly economic recovery has never been a goal of his.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
we needed jobs. That meant you had to cut back regulations. He added more regulations.
More regulations, so people lost jobs instead of getting jobs. And he's supposed to care about people in inner cities. He's made it worse for them.
Yeah, it's worse off. Places like Baltimore, Chicago, the violence, the murder rate, climbing,
murdering,
skyrocketing.
and then black-on-black violence. He doesn't talk about that. He just speaks about how police and how if a kid, his son would be dangerous if his son walked down the street because he looks black,
right, if I had a son,
which is a terrible. Thank you.
Right.
Come on, really?
Stacey, tell us about your life. You're an actress, a writer, a thinker, but in entertainment world, and I've heard this from so many friends because I spend quite a bit of time in Los Angeles. That how hard it is to be a conservative in the entertainment industry, and you've lost opportunities, other things.
Yeah, I've been ostracized. I just lost my agents. They just dropped me because of my politics and because I'm voting for Trump.
Did they say that, or do you just know it?
Yeah, no, they said that, and they sent me an email that said that casting directors have said to them, "We give you credit for pitching her with a straight face." Yeah.
It is so
it's
wrong.
Wicked.
It's
wicked.
It's the devil. It's the devil.
That's
sorry.
the devil. Yeah, it's wicked. It really is. But you know what? I stand strong. What God wants for me, no man can keep from me. So
tell us about your faith. How
I'm Catholic.
It's
very critical. I wouldn't be here if it were not for God. I'm only here by the grace of God. And when you read my book, you'll see. I mean, my life was not easy. I was born in the South Bronx.
Tell us about your family and your.
Born in the South Bronx to two drug-addicted parents, and it wasn't easy. My life was a lot of fighting and a lot of moving and a lot of dysfunctional behavior, which is all in my book. But I made a choice. Either I'm going to be a victim of this existence or I'm going to be a victor. And I decided to be a victor.
Was there one person other than God and the Almighty that guided you? I know you write about it. Tell us.
My uncle Ferdinand. He always told me I was special. He was the only one. He always told me I was special, and he always told me, don't ever be anybody's trick. And when the Jesus train comes, make sure you're on it.
I love that line.
Yeah.
Is he still alive?
No, he just died in prison, actually. Yeah, and I talk about that in the book, and it's sad because I didn't know, but I just thought he was always surrounded by beautiful women. It turned out that he was a pimp, but I didn't know that until I was over 12 years old, and I write about it in the book.
Oh my gosh, this is so important for young women to read. Young women who haven't had a difficult upbringing because they understand how grateful they should be.
Right.
But also, sometimes when you don't struggle, you don't really appreciate what you have.
Exactly.
You have no hunger for better. And you show this in your life, your choices, and your optimism through very difficult times. Continuing, but we are so happy you're here.
Thank you.
We love your book. Stacey, thank you so much. There Goes My Social Life, From Clueless to Conservative. Stacey Dash on the Laura Ingraham Show. Stacey, you can come back anytime. You're just a fabulous person. We love you.
Thank you so much for having me.